Whitmore. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good to see you.
Likewise.
Just as we go back in the time machine, just your memories of, first of all, what it was like to play for the Pirates. Obviously, a hometown kid, coming back. That's got its own pressures, but just, making that part of your professional life with a stop in Portland.
Yeah, it was, getting a chance to play here was special. Obviously, I met my wife when I was playing here, which is great. This is where we live now. We've raised our girls here in Scarborough. But just, the aura of what the Pirates used to be. I was actually at Game 6 in '96 in Rochester when the Pirates beat the Amherst, and then they lost to them in Game 7. But I always knew about the Portland Pirates growing up just because, I was a big Rochester American fan too. So, having the chance to play here and play for such a rich American League franchise was pretty special.
And what about your relationships that you made during those years? Hockey players, I think, have a unique bond that it seems like guys who played together forever ago are always still in touch in their adult life, and they carry on, and then you see them playing together with their kids. Like, I'm assuming you still have some of those great relationships you made while you stopped here.
Yeah, 100%. I was just in Buffalo a couple weeks ago. David Leggio, he was a former goalie here. We grew up together in Western New York, and I ran into him in Buffalo, and we always, a lot of the guys that I ran into were on that 2010, 2011 team. I think, we won the Atlantic Division. That was probably the best year that I thought we had as a group. Timmy Conboy's another guy I've seen kind of, over the years, just at a rink here or there. But, you can go 5, 6, 7 years without seeing some of these guys, and then you run into them or you text them or call them, and it's just like you never left, right? So that was definitely a special group, and yeah, we always talk about how much fun it was, being in Portland, and everyone's like, oh man, that's great that you're still kind of there and living there, because it is such a cool city.
What was it like for you development-wise? Like, at that part of your career, where you wanted to go, what you kind of wanted to get out of the game, was this a good stop for you in that regard?
Honestly, having Kevin Dineen and Wino as my two, coaches for 3 years was all that I really needed. I mean, Dino was such a good coach. He was fair, he was honest, he held us all accountable. But he, back when player development and like working with the players, wasn't as big as what it is now, he made sure to stay on the ice longer with guys, do extra video stuff with guys. And I think, going into my third year, we stayed around that summer, so it was one of the first summers I actually stayed in Portland with my wife. And Dino told me going into the summer, he's like, hey, before you get going here, I want to show you this video. And it was basically like where I had scored most of my goals the previous year. And in his mind, he was like, if you want to continue to produce at this level, but also get to the National Hockey League level, you score your goals from a 10-foot radius around the net, and this is where, we need you to be. So ended up, re-signing after my second year with Buffalo, and came back to Portland and had, one of my best years offensively. And it just was little things like that that he did. He took the time to have us have the team at his house in Cape. We always had Christmas parties with staff, and he was around the NHL for a very long time, so he's a real pro, and I give him a lot of credit for my development, my first couple of years.
So he can't hear you, so you can answer honestly. So Wino, when you're here, he's the coach, and then they go, hey, we need you to play. Were you here when that transition happened, when he had to play and coach at the same time? You're looking for an extra body. I mean, I know you know about it, but and you're like, yeah. Dude, you still gonna skate out here? Like, don't get hurt.
I was not here when that happened, but when we had a couple instances throughout, I forget, it was maybe my second or my third year, where we were very short on defensemen, and Wino would come out and practice with us. And best defense, like, you couldn't get around him, you couldn't pass it through him. Like, he was so good with his stick, and we as players got a kick out of it. We're like, man, here's this ex-NHLer, played a ton of games. He's out here practicing with these young kids and running our show pretty much. But yeah, that was fun. The odd time that Wino would suit up in practice and come out with us, but wasn't there when he got to play.
So, is there a way to tangibly put what it is about Portland? You mentioned Dino. he ended up living here, raising kids here. Halsey stuck around, Churchy's around, you're around. Like, why do people who maybe don't have a natural connection here, why do they stay here? And what about the city attract? Because it's happened to a lot of hockey guys, more than any other sport that we have, for sure.
Yeah, and you go up and down the list, and there's so many former Mariners and Pirate alum that are still in the area. I mean, I think meeting my wife here is a big reason why we decided to settle. She's from Auburn, Maine. But the community and the way that we were treated as players, I still can, walk around in Scarborough or Portland and people see me in Hannaford and, you look familiar. Did you used to play for the Pirates? And so it's fun still being able to have that and know this was a big part of my young life as a pro hockey player, and now to be here to raise my girls and be with my wife, and we've been in the area now for close to 15, 16 years. So it's a great spot to be, and yeah, I'm very happy that I had an opportunity to play here.
Favorite Pirates memory as a player? Any one or two that stand out?
I think personally, it was, I want to say it might have been like game 1 or 2. Playing Connecticut Whale. We were down. I tied the game in the third period and then scored in overtime. And we ended up going, I think, up 3-2, and then we won in game 6 in Connecticut. So that was a pretty cool moment to get that overtime winner at the Civic Center in front of our fans. I think winning the Atlantic Division was great. The games that we got to play in Buffalo, New York, too, because I know that was our affiliation. So I want to say one year we played Albany, one year we might have played Rochester, but I think being able to play where the Sabres played, me being from the Western New York area, had a lot of friends and family that were able to go to those games. So those are pretty cool moments, getting to play in Buffalo's NHL rink as a member of the Portland Pirates. But I just think the guys that I got to meet, obviously Dino and Wino were great to play for, but there's just so many good memories, and I think every year we had a good team. We made the playoffs every year, so nothing really, other than not winning a Calder Cup. I think that'd be the only thing that leaves a bad taste in my mouth about my time in Portland, because I felt like at least that 2011 or 2010-2011 season that we had, we ended up losing to Binghamton, and they ended up going on to win the Calder Cup that year. So I feel like that was the year for us, and we just couldn't get over the hump against Binghamton. So, but all in all, just great experience and a great time here in Portland.
So you thought you had New Year's Eve plans, and then they changed in a hurry. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. I got a call from Terrence Wallen on Sunday, 2 days before New Year's Eve, just asking if I knew anybody in the area that might be able to play on New Year's Eve. They had a 2 o'clock game or a 1 o'clock day game. And basically it was kind of like, what are you looking for? What do you need? He's like, I just need someone to eat some minutes and play. I was like, I can be your guy if you want me to. And he's like, all right, just sit tight. We'll talk it through as a staff. And ended up happening. I think that Monday I went to the rink and got a little bit of a skate in. I had to do all the doctor physical stuff. And then Tuesday was the day of the game. And like I said, it was a 1 o'clock start. So got to the rink right around 11 o'clock and had to do some more tests and make sure I was ready to go and healthy enough to play. And yeah, and then as soon as warm-up started, it just felt like old times. And I was out there skating around the ice. It was pretty sweet that my youngest daughter had never seen me play before, so she got to be there. My wife, her family was there, so just having that opportunity to play again, in Portland for the Mariners, obviously a rink I'm very familiar with and spent a lot of time in as a young pro. The guys on the team were so great, treated me so well, and it just, it's a memory I'll never forget. And being able to score was obviously icing on the cake. I didn't have that one on the bingo card, but tied the game up in the third. We won in overtime against Trois Rivières, who I think they won the ECHL this year. So we beat a good team at home on New Year's Eve, and then we got to go celebrate with the boys on New Year's Eve night, which was a lot of fun.
You had to break it to the beer league guys at PIA that you weren't going to be down there that night, right?
Yeah, so I think my next men's league game that I played in, they were like, what are you doing? I thought you were going to stay with the Mariners or whatever. But a lot of the guys, I mean, again, this community, everybody knows everybody. People that I'm not too familiar with coming up to me saying that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Proud of you, like great job. Just had a ton of support, and it just made me realize once again how big of a hockey town Portland is, and why fans love the game here.